Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Mess Hall. It's your boy Tailgate Ted, joined as always by my man Rally Captain.
What's up, everybody? I hope everyone's having a wonderful Tuesday evening. Let's get it, Ted.
I hear you, baby. We want to thank everybody that subscribed, followed, liked the show. We really appreciate you guys doing that. And I also appreciate all the people we ran into, this past Saturday out at FedEx Field. It was a good time, but also want to remind you guys, if you get a chance, when you're on iTunes and I get to see the analytics and the stats of where everyone's consuming the show from, majority of it from iTunes. I'm a Android guy. I don't actually have an iPhone. So, I appreciate all those out there that do us a favor, because on Apple, you can actually leave a review. Those reviews help us out a ton. We got hopefully a couple sponsors coming up for the season, and they like to read those reviews and see all that feedback you guys got. But as Rally said, it is Tuesday, August 16th at 5:11. And since we talked to y'all last, we had a preseason game. We finally talk about and see some football versus just practice all the time. So I'm curious, Rally, last time you and I chatted, I missed you out at FedEx. I know we were running around, and I actually got to be you for a day, kind of somewhat getting to go on the field. That was really impromptu, had no idea what was going to happen. But I'm curious, we talked about three things we were looking forward to seeing at that game. Did you get to see, or did you see what you were hoping to see based on what we talked about last show?
Well, I believe the first thing I spoke about was how well was the offensive line going to be able to protect Carson Wentz. And basically, from what I saw, the short sample size that I saw, they did a good job. I give my hats off to them, kudos. The second thing that I wanted to see, I believe, was as far as Antonio Gibson and the defensive line. I gotta tell you, man, the jury is still out as far as the defensive line is concerned. I mean, I know that they tout us as being the best, and we've got all these first rounders, and I get it, and by no means do I want to try to bag on the team, because that's not what I do. Just giving you my concern. The defensive line is still a little lacking to me. They didn't do bad, and they didn't do good. But one thing that I will say that I really liked the intensity, and I liked the never quit. I didn't see anybody quit. And I'm not sure if it's because it's preseason and everyone's still fighting for a spot, but I felt the energy was there. If they can just bring it up a little bit more. It didn't seem like people were out of position. So that was a good thing that I saw. The third thing, Antonio Gibson, he hasn't lost his job yet, but if I was a betting man, which I'm really not, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to lose his job. I mean, you got a stud backing him up who's on his heels. And actually, I don't even want to say he's on his heels. I think at this point, he's side by side. So this is going to be Gibson's position to lose, and he's making it easy on himself. What say you?
Oh, yeah. We'll talk about AG a little bit more with what I saw out at camp today specifically. But, in regards to the offensive line, hanging out with Carson and giving him some time, I mean, he was 10 for 13 with 74 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, I tweeted out a video. So I've got the all 22 package and able to go back and watch some of the film, cut up a couple of clips. So, you can go check it out on my Twitter at Tailgate Ted, but put a video of a couple of plays. And, I had my notebook with me out at the game and kind of taking notes. And one play that stood out to me was Carson's ability to avoid the rush. The line did a good job with who they had out there makeshift wise, because, you still didn't have a Rubio, you still didn't have a Trey Turner playing yet, who, are going to be your week one starters. But they did a good job giving him some time. But also, more importantly, I think Carson did a great job of stepping up into the pocket and shuffling his feet and having just no wasted movement. And I'll put a clip on the YouTube page so those watching this on YouTube can see what I'm talking about. But there was a play where Gibson just completely whiffed on his block, missed a defensive end coming in. Carson just simply shuffles up, just 2 quick shuffles, and then hits a tight end coming across the middle, right out in the flat. And that ball was pretty close to being strip sacked. But Carson felt that pressure, moved up and adjusted. And that wasn't the only time I saw him do that the other day. I went back and rewatched game film, and you hear a knock on Carson about not being as mobile as he used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize this, but the local media is not allowed to report on what they see during team drills. That was news to me because I called into B. Mitch and Finley the other day, and I specifically talked about a bootleg touchdown Carson had against the first team defense in red zone drills maybe a week ago, where he had everybody fooled. This guy still can move. So the misnomer of him not being mobile, that's definitely not 100% correct. Now, is he going to bust a run like Heineke or like Howell did? No. But he can move in the pocket, and he can move when he needs to. He had a couple of good scrambles in practice, and I was impressed with what I saw with him. Even though the line did give him time, I was impressed with him biding more time for himself. So I did like what he had there.
So are you saying that Carson is like the Millennium Falcon? May not be the fastest, but it's got it where it counts. Is that what I'm hearing?
He's not doing the Kessel run in, 12, whatever, parsecs.
Han Solo. I'm Captain of the Millennium Falcon. Chewie here tells me you're looking for passage to the Alderaan system.
Yes, indeed. If it's a fast ship.
Fast ship? You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon?
Should I have?
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Parsecs, yeah. Okay.
Which, was definitely a misnomer. If that Han Solo movie taught us anything, I think they said parsec was distance, not time. And I don't want to get too Star Wars nerdy into this, but he doesn't have Heineke's legs, but he has the veteran poise in the pocket to recognize where he's getting pressure from and where to move or who his outlet is. And the fact that he went 10 for 13, he distributed that ball well, especially if you were a tight end, because at one point, I think he hit the tight end like 4 passes in a row.
The rookie. Yeah, the rookie.
Well, I think they're all rookies because, can you imagine how Antonio Gandy Golden feels right now, considering, Logan Thomas has been out. We know he's going to be out till season starts. John Bates is hurt. Your tight end too. Cole, was it? Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. Other tight end. Cole Turner is out right now.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be back for a couple of weeks. AGG would have been getting so much playing time, assuming he'd be healthy. And he just hung his cleats up.
Hey, man, everybody's not built like that, bro. You know the deal.
I get
it. And you got to look at it as if he, in his mind, well, realistically, this isn't the position that I wanted to play. So he's got a little bit of a sulk in him. And then at one point in time, you know what? This isn't what I really want. I'll go back to school. So I can't blame him because I don't want you on the team personally if it's not in you. And I'm glad that he went ahead and rang the bell. So I don't have a problem with it, but I agree with you. Hindsight, he would have been catching a lot of balls, but he also been beat up pretty well too. So I know he didn't want that.
Oh, yeah. If your heart's not in it, then you can't put yourself on that field because, yes, it's a game, but it is a brutal game. And we've seen people get hurt just for, a split second. So, no, but I'm just thinking, man, he would have an actual shot to really make this roster and make an impact on it because now we're picking up tight ends left and right off of different waiver wires. It reminds me of a couple of years back when we had offensive linemen coming in that week and people introducing themselves to the quarterback during basically the locker room at that game because they didn't have a chance to talk in practice. And that's kind of how the tight end room is right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't number 88, wasn't he a quarterback?
He was.
So think about it like this. AGG has been spoiled a little bit because he's been on the squad. Well, he was on the squad for basically what, 2 years. So he got spoiled and not really doing him much. So now here it is. Hey man, you've got to do it. And he kind of, let's face it, he got high on the hog a little bit. He was getting those checks. Didn't have to do very much, but just what he was expected to do. Now you throw him outside of that realm where you've got to get out there and be more physical. But at the same time, you got yours already, so to speak. This kid is coming in as a true rook, a quarterback at that, who's transitioned to tight end, and look what he's doing. So the heart's totally different, man. And so my hat goes off to the rookie for being able to step up the way that he did. He could have caught one ball in particular that was a pretty good thrown ball. Actually, it was a good thrown ball. It was a great thrown ball. Hit him right in the hands, and the defender knocked it out of his hands. If he can make catches like that, he will solidify himself a spot on the team.
Yeah, and that's Armani Rogers, for those that don't know who exactly we're talking about. Tight end that they picked up from Ohio. And he's got a shot at doing something because, for those that don't know, Sammis Reyes just got put on IR. He's done for the year. Team came out and said that, Reyes is going on IR. And I really think that's just a stash play. I think it's just kind of a reason to put him away someplace so no one else kind of takes him off the list, because I don't think he was making this team after watching him at practice and watching him during the game. And now he's got a hamstring. To go on IR with a hamstring is a little suspect. They needed to go from 90 players to 85. And they did that today. And part of that was by putting Reyes on IR. So now you've got Curtis Hodges, Armani Rogers, and Eli Wolf as your tight ends. And I don't remember seeing Wolf out there. I think they just signed him a couple days ago, and he's a tight end from Georgia. And I was wondering, who is that dude out there when I was watching the tight ends practice? Because for those that don't know, the tight ends are right beside you on that main field, right beside all the fans. And there's only 3 of them that are going back and forth, kind of splitting reps and drills. And they're going to get a lot of game time this Saturday versus Chiefs because Turner isn't going to be there, and I doubt Bates will either.
Well, let me ask you this, Ted. How many teams do you know? And I know I don't really keep up with all 31 other teams, but how many other teams do you know have project players? I don't know of any. Do you know of any other team that has a so-called project player?
I'm sure that, I couldn't give you specifics because, I follow high level from a fantasy football perspective. You don't hear about projects when we're talking about that. It's the studs. But I know the NFL has been strictly trying to get this Europe program in and trying to get players from other countries. So I know we're not the only ones. And I know a lot of people wanted to get Reyes to the point of, if we tried to put him on the practice squad last year, the team was concerned that someone else would have picked Reyes up off our practice squad.
But
and
to
he
do what,
wouldn't have
though?
started for that.
To do what?
A project.
Because I haven't seen anything from the kid. Nothing against him, but I haven't seen anything. And I've seen him with his shirt off, and I know he's a beast. I know he's got whatever percent body fat that you want. I know the kid is pumped, but I'll be doggone. Hell, let me be a project. I played football. Come on, man. Let me be a project. If that's the case, my point is, it's the NFL, and I hear what you're saying as far as the, we're trying to break down barriers with different players, foreign players, and whether it be Spanish or whether it be Europe, whatever have you. I get that, but at some point in time, you're taking the food out of somebody else's plate by a project, and I think that personally, we could have used that spot hypothetically for a linebacker. A stud linebacker that we still need. So I look at needs versus project, and that's all I'll say about that, man. I just wish that we could do something else, and maybe in the future we will.
And I agree with you 100%. This team does not have the luxury of picking up project players. but whoever made Reyes' highlight reel needs to win an Oscar, because like you, I haven't seen anything either out of the guy other than I was shocked when I saw him in Richmond because, yeah, he's tall, but when he's got pads on, you're not seeing this guy with the shirt off, obviously, and you're not seeing this chiseled specimen with, 0.5% body fat. But we all remember LaRon Landry. That physique did not really turn well into kind of football attributes. And where is he now? He's in some Gold's gym, probably just lifting and listening to Rage Against the Machine or whatever it may be. It takes a certain skill set to play this game, and Reyes has not showed me he can do it. And I am just happy that they are not wasting a roster spot on Reyes, that they did the right thing and moved him to PUP, and he's not going to, as you put it, take food off someone else's plate. But
yeah, well, I'm happy that I shouldn't say I'm happy. That's the wrong terminology. That's the wrong thing I want to say. I'm happy that he isn't playing, being injured, and possibly, yes, taking the food off of somebody else's plate.
But a couple of things that I saw from this past week that I wanted to go over was Johan Dotson versus coverage. Now, I didn't get a chance to really see that. And Dotson only had, I think it was one catch during the game. So
one catch, 2 targets.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton. And the first team offense wasn't out there for a long time. Granted, they were in there, I think, maybe with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. So they did play longer than I thought. But I do think a part of that was because that Antonio Gibson fumble that we'll get into, they didn't get a chance to see what they wanted to because AG coughed that ball up. So the first team offense didn't get a chance to really go as many series as they were hoping. But Dotson, I don't want to say it was non-existent. There were a couple of plays, one in particular I remember, where Dotson was coming and basically clearing out the middle of the field in a zone, and you had a linebacker go with him, and then you had J.D. McKissick follow behind Dotson, basically on the same route just a couple seconds later, and the entire space was just free of anybody around. J.D. took that ball for a couple of yards, and I'm not saying Dotson's a decoy by any means, but the fact that defenses are respecting him as much as they have, or as much as I saw during that game when he's a rookie. And J.D. McKissick has the most catches for a running back, second to, Alvin Kamara. So that was good to see Dotson on the field, but I still want to see him versus true coverage. And maybe we'll get a chance to see it this week. The other thing that I was hoping to see was, is someone going to challenge Alex Erickson for that kick returner spot? Is it going to be Dax Milne? Is it going to be, let's see, who's the other guy that's our kick returner? Kyrick McGowan. And I don't know if you watched Coach's press conference after the fact, but Rivera was pissed.
I heard about it. I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
He was really salty. And I don't know what Coach actually brings up the fact that you had bad field position during a preseason game, but it was a big thing to Rivera. And McGowan brought the ball out on a kickoff 9 yards deep in the end zone. I think we didn't start past our 20 really all day, and he was not happy. And today during his press conference, he also mentioned that he wanted to have 6 wide receivers, or the number 6 came up a couple of times. So is Erickson going to be that punt returner, or are they going to have Milne or someone else do it? And I didn't see a ton of good stuff from Erickson or McGowan.
Yeah.
Shocking thing today at practice, I saw Milne fielding kicks, and I also saw Dotson fielding kicks. And Rivera did mention.
Do you want Dotson bringing kicks out though? I mean, I don't. Exactly.
Zero chance.
So why even do it? See, that's my thing. Why even do it? But okay, we'll see what happens. You're right. The return game was very bleak at best. Now, do you think that because he brought that ball out, 8-9 yards deep in the end zone. Do you think that no matter how deep it is, they want the guys to bring it out simply because they're trying to see what they have? Or do you think he brought it out on his own saying, I want to make a name for myself?
So during the game, I'm thinking to myself, why would someone bring that ball out? I made note of that in my book. Like, what are you doing 8-3? Then I'm thinking maybe the coach told him to do it no matter what.
Right.
But hearing Rivera in the press conference specifically bringing it up and getting upset about it, no. Rivera wanted them to play like they would in a regular season game. And in a regular season game, you're not bringing that ball out 9 yards deep in your end zone, because all you're doing is putting your offense at a disadvantage. And Rivera was upset that his offense was starting in the hole, and he wanted to give them a good shot. And in situational football, you're not putting them in a good situation to truly open up the playbook, because you don't want to, turn the ball over in your own end zone, or if you will, or your own 20-yard line, which we all know Gibson ended up doing. So it was frustrating to see. And I'm not saying that is going to hurt McGowan, but I'm looking at the depth chart for punt return, and Milne's number 2 on there. McGowan's number 2 on kick return. I don't know if that's what it was the other day, but I want to see what's going to happen this week versus Kansas City. Are they really going to try and give Dotson some reps and Milne some reps? Because I don't want to see it. But at a certain point, you have to find opportunities to get your playmakers the ball. And is this just one of those opportunities?
So obviously, I'm not out there every day, and we don't really know the true game plan. But Patterson is on the kickoff return squad. He's like the number, I don't know how the numbers
He's 3
work.
on the depth chart.
Okay, so my thing is, put that kid back there. He has vision. I mean, he can catch. He's been in the league, so he's not a rook. So put him back there. Let him see what he can do.
I hear you. I hate to break it to a lot of fans that are listening. Patterson ain't making the squad. I don't see it. They don't have room for him here, because Rivera talked about it today, again, during his presser. They're going to go with 3, maybe 4 running backs. I don't think it's going to be 4 running backs. You can't afford to go with a 4th running back when your tight end room is so suspect and up in the air right now. If they didn't have these injuries at tight end like they do, and injuries at offensive line like they do, then maybe Patterson can find his way on a roster. But Andrew Norwell, your other guard you picked up, is banged up right now. Wes Schweitzer went down at practice today. I'm not saying it's a serious injury, but he went in early, hit the showers, and was getting looked at. He landed on his hip. Trey Turner, still banged up, hasn't played. So you have a lot of injuries that you basically have to figure out, are you going to account them for the 53-man roster, or are you going to put them on PUP? If you put them on PUP, they're out the first 4 weeks of the season. So I don't see a way for Jarrett Patterson to make this roster. On top of that, you can stash Patterson on the practice squad. Okay. I don't think you can stash a Dax Milne on the practice squad. I think he'll get picked up by another team because of the film he's put up in his time here, and just in general. I think he's got a good chance at making this squad as a wide receiver. But in turn, Kelvin Harmon, I don't see Harmon making the squad. I don't think he's making that big an impact. So the reason why I'm bringing up kick returner and punt returner, if you don't have to waste a roster spot on someone that just does one thing and only that one thing, and Rivera likes to talk about position flex. If he can have position flex between a wide receiver also being his kick returner, that's even better for our team, because then we can now bring in someone else, maybe that linebacker that we hope, or someone that can help at another spot that we sorely needed.
Okay. Well, with that being said, being a basically one position person, are you surprised that they finally got rid of Apke?
No, not at all. I'm definitely not surprised. I tweeted it this afternoon. I mean, I remember one play in particular last year, and there were so many that Apke just bumbled and stumbled his way through. But I don't know if you remember the Giants game last year We're in the Meadowlands. We're beating them 22-6, I think. And I only know that because I literally just rewatched the game film a minute ago to cut up the clip. And Tress, MVP, perfect punt, right in the corner, just right there on like the 3-yard line. Apke runs down there to field the punt full speed and then knocks it through the end zone. There's no one around him. There's no one there. And this is your special teams ace that Rivera was calling him.
The guru, yeah.
The guy did not deserve a roster spot, but I think he was on the team last year because of the, I guess, lack of depth in the secondary or lack of confidence they had in the secondary. They feel more confident in the secondary now, and Apke hasn't really been practicing and didn't play this past week. So they felt it was okay to cut him because Cam Sims has stepped up on punt gunner and a couple other guys have stepped up. And Cam is going to be on this roster. So that goes back to that position flex that we talked about. He can do more than just being a wide receiver. He can also play special teams. But sorry, Apke, I'm not going to cry that you're gone. I appreciate you being here for the years you were, but you weren't really an asset for this franchise.
Okay. A little nepotism, huh?
Maybe just a little. But, you know, we talked about Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson, and one thing I wanted to see was Gibson and Robinson. And by now, everyone knows, and if you don't, I'm not sure why you're listening to the podcast, but I do appreciate it, that AG fumbled the ball. And I'm not sure what end zone you are in, if you are in the one closest to him or farthest from him, if you could even see it. But from the stands, they didn't show a replay, but from the stands, it looked like the ground caused the fumble.
I thought his knee was down as well, but okay.
I went back, cut up the film, and posted it again. And I just wanted to see for myself what happened, because you know it's never a good sign when you don't get the chance to look at the replay in the stadium. They didn't show it at all. You see that AG puts his left hand out to brace himself from hitting the ground or to try and stay upright, doesn't have two hands on the ball, and their linebacker, I think it was Brown, just completely punched it out. AG puts the ball on the ground.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, he punched it out. I'll send you the clip. And for those that are watching on YouTube, again, I'll put it out on there. And he just lost it. No excuse for it at all. And he never got back in with the first team offense. That was the end of his day with the first team O. And part of me feels like I jinxed it because I was making a joke about the offensive linemen and the fumble drills and hoping that they didn't have to do that. But that's exactly what they had to do on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, Ted, you know, we talked about this in a prior episode. The big running back, Matt Jones, you know, they did everything in the world for that guy. They bought him that special football that vibrated when he held it too soft or it made a noise when he didn't hold it tight enough. And you see where he is. Well, AG, my man, the writing's on the wall, bro. I mean, you don't need us to tell you. And I think it's also something that he's probably doing. Okay, so AG to me is doing what Carson does to himself. He's beating himself up. You know, you got to be able to let it go and play another down. But as I said earlier, when you've got someone who is not behind you anymore, prior to camp, you know, number 8, Rook, was behind him. Well, after the performance in the preseason game, he stepped up beside him. I mean, it's going to take something else to get AG to be off the team or to not be the starter. But best believe they're looking at it with a fine-tooth comb, and they're just saying as soon as something else happens, before it can even happen, okay, sideline. Because once again, Ted, the turnover caused the defense didn't step up, but they scored a touchdown off of the turnover. Man, I wish Commanders could do that.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could get a short field for a change. And I don't remember who it was, but actually it was Juan Romero, who does the Spanish broadcast for the team. He sent me a tweet because I cut up AG's fumble and put it out there. He actually sent me a tweet of a video on YouTube that shows a majority of Gibson's fumbles. He led the league in fumbles last year for running backs. He put 6 on the ground, and I think lost 4. And I went back and watched all of those fumbles. Each time he's doing the same thing. He's got people around him, and he's not covering that ball up with 2 hands. And it's just frustrating. And I went back and watched Brian Robinson's runs. And to me, it's muscle memory is what's happening. Robinson was a running back at Alabama, one of the best programs out there, and they put out stud RBs. Muscle memory was just put into Robinson that if you have people around you, you immediately start to cover that ball up. Or if you're going to be in a spot on the field where people are going to be around you, he just instinctively covers it up. He was a running back. He's always been a running back. He gets that. To me, Gibson runs like a wide receiver, which is what he was. And his muscle memory at times is holding that thing out there like a loaf of bread. And we've seen what happens. He put the ball on the ground. And at practice today, I made notes specifically. I wanted to go because I wanted to see them in pads and not walking through. And I made note 8 in with the first team O on the first 2 reps. So they did 11 on 11s. Robinson Jr. was in first 2 reps, first team offense. After that, they rotated Gibson in, but then going to 7 on 7 drills, first team, Brian Robinson in again, no AG. Then they went 11 on 11 again, and it was Robinson in and JD McKissick, no AG. At a certain point today, Gibson was running with the 3s. He was running with Sam Howell. At another point today, Gibson was on punt coverage. What starting running back in the NFL that put up 1,300 yards last season, keep in mind, 6th most yards in the league for running back last year, is on a punt team? I tell you, there isn't one.
No.
Rivera is sending a message to AG that last year they had to coddle him. Last year, they basically, I'm not saying baby him, but they had to stand behind him because they let go of Peyton Barber, and you've got Jared Patterson or you've got JD McKissick. JD's not a bruiser, and Jared, I'm sorry for some of those on Twitter I've been getting arguments with. Jared's not a starting running back in this league. And it's size. It's just genetics. It's not a knock on him. It's just the traits that he has as an individual player. But now they have a stud workhorse in Robinson. And let me play you this clip of Rivera after the game.
And Antonio last year, first part of that year, especially had some fumble issues, lost the ball today. I'm curious, just your take on that. And
he's got to run hard.
Series, was that
no, Antonio's got to run hard. You know, when he starts to shuffle and go sideways, that's when he struggles. Okay, so when he goes hard, and we saw that when he came back in the second half, he put his shoulder down and ran hard. That's what he's capable of doing. That's when he's at his best. So we talked about that, and I'm very pleased with the way he came back in the second half and ran the ball.
That's a complete 180 from last year's press conferences when AG would put the ball on the ground. Rivera had his back. I'm not saying he threw him under the bus, but he might be hitting reverse and AG standing behind it like, oh, no, don't hit me right now, because Rivera wasn't too happy about what happened.
Well, Ted, this is the NFL, brother. And what does it stand for? Not for long. So either you're going to do it the right way or you're going to do it the wrong way, and you won't be around for long. So, you know, we control our own destiny, brother. And right now you are seeing him in control of his own destiny.
And it was definitely telling that Gibson was out there into the 3rd and 4th quarter of a preseason game. RB1s do not play 3rd and 4th quarters of a preseason game. That's not what it's for. So, and also the fact that he was on punt coverage today and running with Sam Howell today, it just leads you to believe that they're trying to get the message across. The question I have is, how is he going to receive that? And we talked before, you know, about that clip from Remember the Titans and Boone getting on Petey and Petey not being able to handle that criticism. how is AG going to bounce back from this? And I'm not going to be at practice tomorrow. So I am curious to see, for those that are out there and the media that's posting about it, who's running the ones. Because today, this is what Rivera said in his press conference.
What's kind of going on with that room for you right now?
Well, Antonio worked with the ones, the twos, and the threes. He's working with the special teams. Brian Robinson worked with the ones, the twos, and he's worked with the threes as well. And he also working with special teams. So, you know, that's what we're doing.
Is that just, obviously you always talk about position flexibility and having guys kind of know different roles, but obviously for Antonio being the starting back, we haven't seen him in that. Is that just you want to get Robinson more with the ones, or is Antonio, hey, we may need you to do some other things?
We want to be able to use all our players.
Is there a competition for the starting running back job?
There's always been a competition for the positions on this team.
There's always been competition for the positions on this team.
Oh, man.
I mean, Rivera's trying to be PC about it. But
he really is. He really is. And he's never done it before. So, and the only reason why Robinson is doing it is because he has AG doing it. Any other time, it wouldn't be the case. But he's got to smooth it over, like you said, to make it look as it's this way, when in all actuality, no, man. You just don't do it. So he just can't stop and not, you know what I mean? So he's got to say, well, yeah, see, everybody's doing it. Yeah, right. Okay. Last year everyone didn't do it, but you've got to fan that flame a little bit and say, all right, see, everybody's doing it, no problem. Yeah, man, this is a no story here. When all actuality, Coach to Robinson is like the grandma in church who gives you the little peppermint candy, you know, slides to the side. I guarantee they've had some probably one-on-one conversations that say, hey, you're going to be toting that rock. So be prepared. I guarantee it, bro. I guarantee
I've got no doubt about that. And Robinson today in practice looked good. He looks, and it's practice, and it's against our defense. And we'll get into the defense in a minute, but he's looked good. And I want to see him take advantage of this opportunity, because as far as I'm concerned, Gibson is in the doghouse. How long is he going to stay there is 100% up to him. And he needs to earn his way out of that. And like you said earlier, he's not nipping at his heels. They are neck and neck right now. And if AG puts that ball on the ground again, he's not going to get cut. Let's be real. But he is moving his way down that depth chart to a number 2 position, because you cannot trust someone that does not practice ball security. And that was his big knock coming into this offseason. And we thought he'd work on it, but, you know, right in the first preseason game, that ball is right on the ground. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm curious, you know, what impressed you on Saturday? What really stood out to you when you were out there?
Let's see. What stood out to me was, I'll say Wentz. He's been the focal point of all the reporters, out of market, in town market. Can he get the job done? You know, obviously we heard the interview with was that Bram, who is kind of in the doghouse with Jason Wright?
No, that's Scott Abraham.
Abraham, my apologies,
ABC.
Abraham. You know, we heard that interview, and I really don't think that he said anything wrong. But at the same time, like we've treaded over this, but just a quick recap, he could have phrased it differently. But I was impressed with Carson. I've said it before. He's 10 of 13. 10 of 13. Come on. That's what he's basically going to do here. And he would have been, he would have been 11 of 13 if the rookie tight end, if he would have caught the ball. So I think we can put to bed the whole Wentz aspect of things. At least I can. The other thing that I'm impressed with was how I saw poise. I saw him be able to do things, his vision. I mean, I was able to just to feel relaxed with him versus on edge, if that makes sense. I felt like he had control of the offense, whereas some guys get in there and you're like, oh, but I felt like this was natural for him. And it shows that he is looking to possibly become the franchise quarterback. I'll tell you one thing else I was excited about, Ted, and this is off the field. I was excited about our fan base. A lot of people aren't talking about that, but our fan base, well, I take that back. People are talking about it, but from a fan to fans, I was excited about our fan base being able to actually get up for this game, because you hear so much about Twitter, social media. Oh, nobody, Commanders, commies. You hear all this Commodores. You hear all this faux against the name and the color, the uniforms. But bro, the people that were in that stadium got up for that game, and I was hyped. So I'm hoping that it transfers, and I know it will, and I feel it will, September 11th against the Jaguars. I see us, as JP Finley says, making FedEx bump again. And if we win, whew, man, look out. So that's what impressed me, the fans that came to actually see a football game.
Yeah, and preseason, I don't think is a good reflection of the fans that are going to be there during the regular season. You don't have a ton of season ticket holders that go to preseason. It is what it is. They force us to buy the game, and a lot of people just give those tickets away. You, me, the diehards, we're there no matter what. We're there, preseason, or if we're 0-16 going to week 18, and next thing you know, there's a monsoon coming. It doesn't matter. So I do hope that the fans that are there in regular season have that same energy as the ones for preseason, because they announced a purchase of 46,000 tickets.
No kidding.
That to me just shows you how many season tickets we have, maybe 44,000 season tickets. There weren't more than 15,000 people in the stands. There weren't a lot of people there just based on looking and just being there in person, but the people that were there made a ton of noise. I'm right there with you. There was a couple of times, though, at the end of the game when Howell's trying to drive that ball in the end zone, and it's third down, 3rd and goal, and 4th and goal, and people are yelling and screaming. And it's preseason, so I didn't stand up on my seat and tell them to shut up, but I did send a text message to the team and said, please bring back quiet offensive work with Jumbotron, because there's a certain etiquette you have to have as a fan base. You cheer when you're on defense, not on offense.
Okay.
So not, that was your end zone too, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So you didn't do it, but guess who did do it? I'm waving my hands like, well, you guys shut up. Come on, guys. And I mean, man, yeah.
That's what it sounded like, except a lot more yelling and screaming. It drove me insane. And because it's preseason, I know people are hyped. People do the wave. You don't do the wave in the regular season. I'm sorry, it doesn't happen unless you're getting torched. So everyone's just having a good time. But I was impressed with the fans that were there, but I was impressed because I saw so much Commanders gear out there.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see all that new gear. Because just like you said, on social media, on Twitter, which is the vocal minority. And I'm sorry, the HTTR mob, the HTTC mob, kiss my ass. And that's me saying it. That's not Rally saying it. But I'll bend over right now on camera and just kiss it, because I am tired of all of you guys trying to split this fan base up when it comes to criticizing the team and making comments on the team. And I'm never going to wear anything Commanders. I'm never going to buy this, never going to buy that. Well, you know what? There were a ton of fans that were out there. The team store was full. People were walking out of there with just bags of new swag. People are in on this rebrand. And they're the non-vocal majority, in my opinion. And it's a beautiful sight to see. And I sent a message to the team that I'm not shy to talk about. I asked them, can you please have a satellite store open the week of the home opener? Because I don't know if the team store is going to be open before the actual game. And I've got fans from London that have reached out to me, fans from Canada that have reached out to me. You're global. I know you are. I know you got people hitting you up. They're asking me, where can they buy Commanders gear? They're asking me, is the team store going to be open? And I asked the team, can you set a satellite trailer up out there in the parking lot, maybe for Saturday? And I'm not going to go back to what they said because that's somewhat confidential, but I gave them my reasoning as people don't want to buy all this stuff on Sunday, on game day, and then have to carry everything around all day long. These people are flying here. They're coming in from out of country. They don't want to have to change in the stadium. Just common sense. Open a damn store where people can give you money and buy stuff. And it's these little things that just drive me crazy with this team. And I will continue to argue and hopefully voice that concern that other fans have. I don't know, we're going on a tangent, but man, this fan base is ready. Give us a reason and outlets to cheer and to buy and to spend money.
And not only that, Ted, people don't really trust the Fanatics site that
the
much.
website.
And I say that because you could order something, and they're getting better. I will say this: you can order something hypothetically today, and it'll say that you're going to get it maybe next Wednesday, but then you may not get it next Wednesday. So if you got guys who are overseas, and like you said, I have people hit me up as well. If you got guys overseas, the way shipping is going now with the tie-ups, who knows when you would get it? So yeah, do yourself a favor and open a satellite station up on Saturday, Friday, Saturday, because people, they're going to come into town. And if they're anything like me, as soon as I land, the first thing I do is go to the stadium and take pics and get it behind me so I can start my other venues of travel, or, if you will. So that's the first thing I do. And I know they're the same way. Also, Ted, I also heard though, and you may have not heard about this. I'm hearing that the team store is like going to be where the sports book is supposed to be. So I don't know, but that's what I'm hearing. So where would the team store be, bro?
I can't comment on that. I'm gonna have to let that one die. I'm just not allowed to comment on that particular piece.
Okay.
But I did make a request during the parking party that we had in February that I knew the team store was closing. I knew it was going to be shut down because of renovations and things that needed to happen. And not saying it's because of what you just mentioned, but I knew it was going to close. And I specifically spoke to a very, very high up exec and said, can we please do something to have a satellite store open? Because DC is a travel destination for families just because museums free. You can come here a little bit cheaper than going to Disney, obviously, than having to pay for park admission, things like that. Fans come to FedEx Field. People might hate it, but they come there because they want to be at the stadium, even though there's not a game going on. I went to Green Bay in February and it was cold. There was no game going on. I just wanted to see the stadium and I just walked over and took a picture in front of it. Same thing that you talk about when you go on away games. It's like, it just makes sense to give your fans the opportunity to buy your goods, buy your merchandise. And we talk about poor business decisions. This is a poor business decision this team has made in my eyes. And I'm going to make sure that I reach out to Jason and talk to him about it, because I feel for our fans that are in Europe that cannot get stuff from Fanatics UK or cannot easily return stuff to Fanatics UK, and those in Canada. I have bought stuff for fans here and shipped it myself because they never knew when they were going to get it. But for me, I could get it to them on a, however many days they wanted to pay for. And they just gave me the shipping label and I went to the UPS across the street. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just trying to let people know what fans that aren't local, that of this team, what they want to do and how they try and consume the product. And I'll always be an advocate for them and try and see what we can do. But man, it frustrates me because the answer I got wasn't one that I had hoped for. And I have to keep it between the people that gave it to me, but just know I'm not giving up.
No, I feel you on that, man. And like you, I will always be an advocate for the team. I will always try to put the best foot forward, but you guys sometimes make it hard for us to do that.
They really do. They really do. And I don't want to keep beating it down because I'm starting to get heated now and I might have to go for a jog after this to cool off. But what concerned you from the game this past week?
What concerned me was the secondary, bro. It seems as though, for whatever reason, I don't understand it, but the same thing we did last year and the year before last and years prior, if it's second down and let's just say second and 7, why are you playing 10 yards off the ball or 7 yards off the ball? Why wouldn't we be in a more of a press or more of a tighter coverage or something? I don't understand it, because they need 6, they get 6 because we're already playing off the ball that deep. I'm not a coach. I don't understand it, but that's just what I see. And once again, if a fan sees it who isn't getting paid the millions of dollars for salary, then why isn't the one who's getting paid $1 million for salary seeing it? Is it a scheme that they don't want them to be in, or they don't have faith in their corners or DBs? I mean, inquiring minds want to know. So that's my biggest concern.
That was maybe mine as well. And it was frustrating because the first team defense on the first drive was a 13-play, 54-yard drive. They gave up 3 third-down conversions. One was a 3rd and 3, which was a 2nd and 6. One was the 3rd and 3, which was a 2nd and 9. And one was a 3rd and 5 that was a 2nd and 10. So you've got them in 2nd and long in pretty much all 3 of those scenarios. And just like you said, they're just giving them so much respect off that ball. And it was frustrating to see them do that, because third down defense was a huge problem last year. And we were actually, I think, 31st in the league in third down defense. And you're hearing how the defense is gelling. And, you talked about one thing you want to see is the secondary living up to the hype, because you hear about their communication. And I will give Bobby McCain some credit, because there was a deep ball that would have been 6, but he came across on the other side of the field and broke that up and did a good job. But other than that, our first team defense did not impress me one bit. You had Baker tearing you up. You had that offense tearing you up of the Panthers, and you hear them doing well against our offense. Today, for example, they had 2 picks on Carson and had a beautiful one-handed pick on Heineke. But is that a indictment of how good the defense is or how bad our offense is? So I don't want to say it's definitely one or the other or that cut and dry, but this is why we have, talked about this before. You practice against another team during preseason. You bring another team into camp. And the fact that they did not do this, we now only get 3 chances to see, really 2 chances to see, is this defense for real? Because right now, they're not. And they let go of Landon Collins. They didn't bring any free agents in. Why should we believe that this defense is going to be better than it was last year?
I don't know, bro. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm just hoping that last Saturday's game is an indication of what is going to happen for the rest of the season. And I know it was just a preseason game. I get it. But God dog, man, it looked like the yellow pants, the Redskins. It did. And I said that I wouldn't say that name, but when something reminds you, your muscle memory takes you right back to where it was. And that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of the Redskins. It reminded me of the Washington football team. That's what it reminded me of. And see, I'm one of these guys, I don't want to hear about four first round picks out of Alabama. I don't want to hear that, man. Okay, that was good in 2020, 2019. that was the rage then. Well, that's worn off on me now. I don't care about that. I want to be able to see what these guys can do. And and one thing we said, and I'm not gonna dog him, but one thing we said is it's one thing playing against your own guys and you semi have a learning curve because you kind of know what's going to happen and you can kind of float to that position, okay, already because you know what's going to happen. Impress everyone by doing it against a different color jersey.
Amen.
Then we'll be able to see where we truly are because I think they kind of give each other a false sense of security.
They definitely do. And you just versus the Chiefs this week, and it's the Chiefs. So I'm not expecting a ton, but I need to see more from this defense because we know linebacker has been an issue. We know, Rivera has said it himself. He wanted to see how these guys did, and then maybe was going to bring in another linebacker. Okay, they brought in Nathan Gary. I'm sorry, but that's not the, moving linebacker free agent that I plan on us bringing in, or Nate Gary. That was going to make a huge difference. And you know what? He didn't make a huge difference. David Mayo had a couple of nice stops on runs. He had a beautiful one today in practice, but he's getting torched in coverage. The things that were a problem appear to still be a problem. So versus the Chiefs, I need to see if we are taking strides to rectify that because Del Rio's on the hot seat. And he's actually speaking to the media tomorrow. He's scheduled to speak to the media tomorrow. This will be his first press conference since the dust up. So I'm curious to see what he says in that press conference. And he's got to do something better. He dialed up more blitzes and more pressure when he lost Montez and when he lost Chase. I need to see more of that versus Kansas City. And you're not going to show your hand in preseason. Everything is so vanilla, but I need to see something better out of that secondary. You had that deep touchdown where it was a zone coverage and they just didn't pass guys off to each other. Yeah. And just like you said, I'm seeing the Washington football team. I'm seeing guys get beat deep, and I don't want to see that. And is that going to happen this weekend versus Chiefs? Time's going to tell. But what are you looking forward to seeing versus Kansas City?
I'm looking to see how our guys can match up against speed, because one thing that we know Kansas City has is they have speed at the receiver spot. Are you going to give them more of a cushion, or are you going to play mano a mano and give your guys, your front four, some time, because all he has to do is a 3-step drop and get the ball out because you're giving so much of a cushion. And we know if you bump and run, the front four have more opportunity to get to make an impact on the quarterback. That's what I want to see, man. I want to continue to see them work together, and I want to continue to see Carson do his thing, do Carson things, because I'm tired of the skepticism. I really am. People at the job, you guys are going to suck because Carson's going to go this way, and I'm just, what I mean? I'm just tired of it. So for once, put heads to bed, as much as we possibly can, because it's preseason, put some heads to bed and say, that's why we picked up Carson. The same feeling that everyone had with Howe, that feeling that we had with Howe, because people were pumped with Howe. I want to have that same feeling with Carson.
And I was happy with Carson. I was impressed with Carson, and I want to see if that continues into this week. And can he have that success? And one thing, and I wanted to call you today at practice, man, but I don't want to bother you at work. There was one set of downs, and it's 11 on 11. And you've got Curtis Samuel, Terry, and Dotson out there, and you got Brian Robinson out there as well. Carson went 0 for 4. Ended up throwing an interception. It was a long ball he threw to Terry. Terry was double covered, and William Jackson came out with a nice interception. Immediately after that, The guys all go to the sideline and they're standing right in front of the fans. Carson walks over after talking to Rivera, because Rivera pulled him aside to give him some pointers and tips. And he went right to Terry and talked to Terry about the rep. And then you've got Dotson and Samuel, who I am surprised Samuel was practicing. So thank God things are going good. I'm knocking on wood right now and hoping it stays that way.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
But he went a couple feet over to talk to Johan and Curtis about what went wrong on that series, to try and work these things through those guys. The next chance they came back in, Carson, beautiful ball to Terry. Terry had to jump up, contested catch over Kendall Fuller and over Cam Curl. Just a gorgeous pass. Terry wasn't even looking. At the top of his route, knew to turn up, look, and jump that the ball was there. I mean, the timing was just exquisite. That's what I want to continue to see from Carson, because you can see the chemistry building when you're at practice. You can see the chemistry building when you're watching him at the game. I want to continue to see that chemistry versus Kansas City. The other thing I want to see is I need to see Brian Robinson Jr. block. And some people are going to say, what are you talking about? He's a running back. It's part of his job. I need to see if we can trust him to be in there and pick up a blitz. Because if he can be a threat in the passing game and the running game, then he's not a first and second down back. And we're not showing our hand to the defense. Whereas, yes, J.D. McKissic can run the ball, but odds are when McKissic's in, it's going to be a pass. So if we can throw the defense off and they don't know if Robinson's going to be in there on a run or a throw, that would be great, but they have to trust him to pick up a blitz. And that's what I was looking for today in practice. And I didn't really see a ton because they weren't really going after him like that, but I want to see that this weekend versus Kansas City.
Well, you need to have that extra back end, like you said, to pick up that linebacker or to pick up that stunt. And if he can't do it, then he's got to get himself back into the film room. But one thing that we do know is I think he can do it. We talk about his acumen. He came from Alabama. I'm sure that Saban has them doing all kinds of drills like that.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be just like you said, just a walk in the park for him. But does he want to do it? You know, it's like anything else in life. What you want to do, you'll go all out for it. And so I think that he wants to make a name. One thing that also surprised me about Robinson is he caught the ball out the backfield. So, and they said, not to say they said he couldn't do it, but I was surprised how it looked like it just was second nature for him to catch that ball out of the backfield, where he wasn't clunky and lunky. You know what I mean? On
It
ball
felt
on his
natural.
yeah, ball on his fingertips, bumbling it. No, he got it, tucked it, and was moving with it. I was like, oh man. So, like you said, let's see that one aspect of it. Can he pick up the blitz? It's also going to come down to the quarterback as well. Sometimes the quarterback tells him, hey, come over here. Yep, this is where the pressure is going to come. So the quarterback may have to, if need be, hold his hand for that maybe 1 or 2 games until he can see it. But
so most quarterbacks call that. Actually, for the Commanders, for those that don't know, Chase Rouillet points that stuff out at the line for blocking assignments, who's Mike, where blitz is coming from, so on and so forth. And for those that haven't been at practice, Robinson has been getting a ton of reps catching the ball out the backfield, going in those flat passes. And the coaches actually did mention that they were surprised at how good his hands were. Because they talked about, people are thinking, why did you draft a running back? People were, on draft night. Why'd you do this in the 3rd round? You've got AG, 1,300 yards last year, 6th in the league, blah, blah, blah. Well, then they said, oh, it's because they wanted someone to fill that Peyton Barber role that they lost. No, it's so much more than that. They want someone that they can trust to have that ball security, someone that's been a true running back, and he's got hands. He had a screen pass that went for 9 yards last week. I cut that one up too and put that out there. He is showing you all the facets of the game that you want to see. I just need to see that last facet of him being able to pick up that blitz, because there was one where, and I talked about earlier, that play that Carson just shuffled up, Gibson completely whiffed on his block. Just the guy olayed him, went right past him, and was this close to being a strip sack. I want to see Robinson out there with the ones, hopefully get some time, and they split it. I'm not saying completely take it away from AG, because you can't do that to him, depending on is he going to be your stud or not. But I am loving what I'm seeing of that kid, and can he handle the pressure? And because he went at a big school program like Alabama, I've got no doubt he can, and I've got no doubt he wants it. Mm-hmm. But speaking of things that you want and you don't want, did you get inside the stadium in time to hear the fight song?
I was there, and so the first operatic, if that's even a word, version of the fight song, it sounded like it was a national anthem. That's what it reminded me. Hail to the commander. I was like, what the hell? This is Star Spangled Banner? But that's what it felt like to me. And then they came back and they didn't sing it after the touchdown because why? Sly didn't make the field goal. That's something else that we need to talk about on a later episode. But nevertheless, they normally sing it always after the field goal that you score the touchdown.
Extra point.
Extra point.
Yeah.
The extra point. The extra point. They didn't do it because he didn't make it. All right. Now, when I did hear it after they made the extra point, dude, here we are. I wish that for once you would bring it to fans first. And don't put it out. I don't know why we are rushing. I get it. Football is basically 3 weeks away. I get it. But how about this? Just play some music. Play some music until you can get it down. Or, as Jason said, allow people to sing "Hail to the Redskins." They said they were going to do it anyway, so people already said they're not going to sing the new fight song. They're going to sing "Hail to the Redskins." So let them sing that until you have it right. And last episode, I told you, yes, I understand you paid homage to the family that made the song. I get it, and I like it. However, I don't love it. Times have, even though we are a tradition, we're a traditional team, the tradition has changed to where when the tradition changed, the song should have changed. And that's all I'm going to say, bro. But this one here was no bueno.
I'm trying to be nice about it, but it was trash. It was just straight garbage. And you talked about it sounding like the national anthem. I thought of Whitney Houston when I heard it sing the national anthem. And for those that haven't heard it, I apologize, but I'm going to play it for you right now.
No.
I can't listen to it. It's bad.
Star Spangled Banner, man. Did you hear somebody cheering as if it was like the Star Spangled Banner is coming to an end? That's what it sounded like, because I heard somebody cheer toward the end of that. And I said, that's not good. Now, what I thought they were trying to do was sing it in this opera type tone, if you will, to say, hey, this is going to be the new upgrade, because they did play a different version after Sly kicks the extra point.
So I've got that too. So I've got both versions. This was after Sam Howell, I think, got his touchdown, because Sam had 2 that day. And like you said, they didn't play it. The first ever touchdown in Commanders history, first ever one we scored, they don't play the fight song. I mean, Come on, that's a story for another day. That's the blocking and tackling, just the unforced errors, but not piling on that. This was what they played after we scored our second touchdown. I don't know what that was. I don't know what that trumpet solo was at the end. I thought I was in New Orleans and there was a jazz parade going down Bourbon Street and I'm sitting out there with a hand grenade having a cocktail. That's what it felt like to me.
Second line dance. Yeah. Second line. That's what it sounded like. And that's why I said, okay, if you want to keep some semblance, I get it. Play the go-go version. Play the go-go version of Hail to the Commanders, but with no lyrics until you can get some lyrics. And even if it means changing it up from the song itself, so be it.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And Jason Wright actually came out and said that we know you're going to sing the lyrics to the old song, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to think that they changed it up so much because they didn't want fans to sing the old lyrics of the song. Because at a certain point, you know, we talked about it, muscle memory kicks in. Well, if it's the same tempo and the same beat, your muscle memory is going to kick in and you're going to say Sons of Washington. You're going to say Fight for Old DC, you know, Hail to the Redskins. That's just what we have been raised on for decades. And there's, you know, it happens.
Let me tell you something, Ted. So one thing that I was starting to get started was you played that song toward the end, and I said, I know that everyone is going to sing Hail to the Redskins. I got it. But instead of that, DC. That's what I said after a touchdown. DC. And you had that music in the background, DC. And it started gaining traction. And they even played, if I remember correctly, last year they played something similar to it. And people were starting to say it, especially at away games. At away games, people were starting to say it. And so I'm thinking, you know, like I said, I get it. You want to pay homage to the family that made the song, and I'm cool with that. But it's time to let that go. As much as it pains me to say that, because I love singing Hail to the Redskins, Hail to the Command. I love saying that song. So
it's still my ringtone. I'm not changing it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And so, but I think that at this juncture, something else needs to be done. And I told Jason that. I said during a focus group meeting, I said, no, if you're gonna change altogether, then change altogether. You know. So
we talked about it before. It feels lazy. It feels half-assed, and it also feels at a certain point insulting that this is what you've given us as our fight song. That national anthem version makes me want to take a nap. It doesn't get me excited for football. It gets me excited to bed. That New Orleans version makes me want to eat some jambalaya maybe have a po' boy, but not watch a Commanders game, not watch or cheer after we score a touchdown. It's infuriating because I know the people making the decisions, and I honest to God don't know what the hell they were thinking. I don't know who would have thought that this was a good idea. And then you have the HTTC, HTTR mob saying, we love the song. It's amazing. Hell yeah, let's go. You don't. No, you don't. No one can love that song. The composer. Oh, I've been seeing it because I've been having them attack me lately. And that's something we can talk about in person one day.
Okay.
But there are people that just refuse to criticize this team no matter what they do. You literally could have Jason, no, I'm not going to say his name. You could have a team executive pissing on your leg, and they're going to say, oh, it must be raining right now, because they refuse to say anything negative about this team or criticize this team. And hey, if that's their MO, fine. But you have no credibility with me if you refuse to talk about the obvious, because no one in their right mind that actually has their hearing could possibly think that this garbage sounds good, because it doesn't. And I hope that they do something about it, but I think they're too far in. I think they're pot committed, to bring out a poker term. And I think we're stuck with this trash
for this year.
Yeah.
I agree for this year.
They talked about a new jersey coming out next year because you rotate jersey a couple of years, and hopefully we're going to rotate fight songs, because I thought about this earlier today, and this kind of makes me want us to not score a touchdown, man. It's embarrassing.
Oh, no. Take that back. Take that back, bro. Take that. If it comes down to it, I will say DC. Like at the end of that song that you were just playing. Matter of fact, cue that up. Cue that up and play that go-go version with DC. That you can get people behind that.
You definitely can. And some people might not like go-go. I'm sorry, but a guy called in the Junkies today and said, well, they got rid of the drums because it was too close to a tribal beat, and they're trying to get away from that. It's like, no, come on, don't give me that crap.
You hear that?
That will get you dancing in the seats. That will get your fans chanting and yelling and screaming and hyped. Not that garbage that they fed us this past weekend. And I am glad that we only had maybe 15,000 people there, so they didn't have a chance to see that in person. But speaking of suspect things that they introduced to us at the game the other day, last one is we get to pick our mascot. So the Mascot Reveal is going to come out during the Cowboys game in January. They gave us 4 options. Option 1, a historical figure. Kind of surprised. I think the Nationals kind of have that down, but a historical figure. A superhero. I don't know where that's going, but okay. A dog and a hog. This, to me, feels like when they came out with those listed names and they said we could be the Belters, maybe the Monarchs, maybe the Swifts, or the Demon Cats. I mean, maybe someone's got a kid and their kid loves superheroes and they're going to vote for that. Or someone really likes dogs. They had the dog rescue at the practice the other night, and they really want to go with this whole dog theme. How are these the options that we get? And how is it not just a hog? I'm curious which one you like out of the 4. And you're not going to offend me if you choose one that I think is crazy.
I'm not going to pick any of them, in all honesty. The way I look at it is I'd rather see like how USC has a Trojan. I'd rather us have a guy, a character, a tall character that has maybe the waiter style army jacket with some fake metals on it, shiny fake metals, and like maybe a Schwarzkopf helmet, or not Schwarzkopf, but I can't think of the general's name, 5-star general that we had, Eisenhower or something like that. Maybe some like Texas A&M, maybe some knee-high boots, you know what I'm saying, with the flared pants. That's a commander to me. We're the Commanders, all right? We aren't any of that other type stuff. So let's bring it home to what we really are. Stop trying to overthink this thing, man. And I think that you're trying to, I get it. Once again, you're trying to stay homage to the Hogs. I get it. And everybody loves the Hogs. I get it. But that's not what we are anymore, man. So all you're doing is, you're on one aspect, you're saying we're going to move forward. But at the same time, you're still trying to hold on. We're Commanders, man. Do something that's more commander-ish, if you will, military-ish, if you will.
And you can dress a hog up in a military outfit. I've seen a bunch of fan renderings and things like that. So I agree with you.
I have to, man. But at some point in time, you gotta let some of this stuff lie. That's not us. It's not. Yes, that's our tradition. And for anybody that's gonna dog me out, I'm not saying do away with our tradition. That's what we are. That's our tradition. However, that's on one side of the page, and now we're supposed to be turning a page. So if that's what we're doing, then turn the page. It goes back to this freaking fight song. If they butcher that, I can imagine them butchering this.
If they butchered it, it's just mutilated at this point, man. And I'm not trying to pile on. I just wish that you're trying to keep the old heads happy. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's why they kept the melody of the song, even though they didn't. And we all just heard that just ear trash that just came through your headphones. I'm sorry for that. I owe you all a beer. But now you're trying to still honor the past with the Hogs. To me, just commit to the rebrand. You gave us a bone when you didn't change the colors. Okay. We keep talking about Washington legends, and we're still keeping that legacy. So we don't feel like a expansion team. And Jason Wright talked about that on Saturday before the game, and how they're really trying to honor that and have that happen. Doesn't feel like an expansion team to me. Just, I understand you want to try and keep the fans engaged, but at a certain point, it's like that girl that you might have dated at a certain point. You ask her, honey, what do you want to do today? It's like, oh, it's okay, whatever you want to do. It's like, no. How about you just tell me what you want to do? How about you just make a decision for a change? And then we go along with it, because we're along for this crazy train ride, whether we like it or not. We signed up for this. We are Commanders fans. But at a certain point, Jason Wright, at a certain point, Misselbrook, all the people in charge of this rebrand, just do it yourself. And guess what? Like you did with the name, we'll suck it up and be okay with it after some time.
Because everyone's not going to be happy.
No, they're definitely not. You can't make everybody happy. But just like those fans that said, I'm not buying gear. Guess what? They're buying gear. And
boatloads, bro.
Tons, man. Tons. And I'm looking forward to seeing, hopefully more fans and more gear during that week one, Jacksonville tailgate and that party out of FedEx Field. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we do this weekend against the Chiefs. And I'm hoping we get to see some good from the defense and not just the offense. But with that said, man, I really appreciate everyone for sticking in. This was a little bit of a longer one today, but we had some stuff to get off our chest after this past weekend. So thank you guys for hanging out with me and Rally on another episode of the Mess Hall.
And once again, guys, the name of this is DMV Mess Hall. So it's not always going to be pretty. We're going to have some mess in it. And this was an episode that had our mess in it. And so once again, we told you we'd come to you guys rough and raw. We'd praise, and we would also give you the bad side. So it's going to happen. And I, like Ted said, I appreciate you guys listening in and letting us talk to you and filling your ear with what we believe in, our knowledge. And as always, rep it hard, but don't rep it at all. It's Ted, Rally Captain. We're out.